Marshmallows are a magical creation.
Marshmallows, you're literally taking the broken down enzymes from the inside of protein bones, pork, beef, chicken, and using it to incorporate air and then set sugar. So marshmallows are technically just clouds of sugar, which are interesting. I don't know, I think they're fun. Plus, marshmallows are a fun thing that no one ever thinks to make. So especially guests in the dining room, they're always asking, oh, how do you make marshmallows? And I give them a rundown and then they look at me confused, but I say, sorry, that's how you make marshmallows. So first off, we have honey. 840 grams of honey, 480 grams of water. We're gonna put that over high flame with a candy thermometer and bring it up to soft crack. Cook it out, cook out all the water and make a sugar out of it. At the same time, we're going to take 80 grams of leaf gelatin, or 480 grams of water, and let it bloom the whole time that's cooking out. So soften the gelatin and make it usable. 16, almost 1,700 grams of sugar. And now it's just gonna cook. It's gonna take about like 15 minutes. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna hit 230 degrees. At that point, with all the water in it, it can't boil anymore. It can't get any hotter, so it's gonna sit at about 220, 225 for 5 or 6 minutes as it boils all the water out. You're gonna get really big bubbles. As soon as the water's cooked out, the foaming is gonna go down, and then the temperature's gonna start to skyrocket. At that point, when it's real dangerous for your fingers. These big bubbles, that's all the water cooking through the sugar. Yeah, so you'll see the second that it gets past the 220 mark, it's gonna drop down and the bubbles are gonna get smaller, tighter, and they're gonna bubble a little bit more furiously. It's actually starting to get there. Now the bubbles are starting to get tighter and it's also clear. The liquid is getting darker as it's reducing from the honey. I also love that when you start making it, your liquid's gonna be a dark auburn brown, but you pour so much air into it, it still appears white when it's done. All right, so we're there. Corner, very hot behind you. Very hot. All right, so now we go into the mixer. So in here, we're gonna add our gelatin and the rest of the remaining water. I'm gonna add the salt and the vanilla extract. And then to make sure there's no chunks or anything, we're going to strain the sugar mixture right over everything. Got gelatin, vanilla extract, salt, and the candy mixture that we made. We also have a bowl of ice. We want this to, at the same time, cool down as it mixes. That's gonna help the gelatin hold the air and also set. Otherwise, it would take all the air and then flatten right back out. Start it off slow. I'm gonna speed it up. I will watch for splashing on that side. It's gonna hurt. Like that. If you watch, you should be fine as far as splashing now. We're already starting to get a white foam over the top of it, and then it's gonna turn stark white. Then it's gonna get the texture of like the commercially bought fluff stuff, and that's when you know you're ready. This is just to where I can turn the marshmallows out and they can set into a large rectangle shape so we can cut them into squares. So I always add a lot of pan spray at the bottom. It helps so that the parchment paper sticks to it and I don't run the risk of anything going underneath the parchment paper. And then I'm gonna hit it with a real good layer of pan spray on top. Stuff gets really sticky. So it'll have a chance. So once we turn it out after we're done, we'll be able to flip it over, peel this right off, and it'll be ready to go. And I'll show you the cutting process in a little bit. See, we're about halfway there. Starting to force that much air into it. but you're gonna see it really develop over the next minute or so. You can see the ripples on the outsides. That's where the air has been pushed into it, so it's becoming a lot more viscous, and you're starting to get folds in it. You can really see like the pockets of air, how when it falls off the sides, you're getting big gaps because it's getting really thick and catching all the air and forcing it in, making it really fluffy. After you cook the sugar, when I add the vanilla in, that's when you can add any sort of flavorings that you really want to. Get food coloring into it if you want to make a different color, natural or artificial. Any sorts of extracts, anything to change the flavor. We let the honey shine through, so it's just a little bit of vanilla. See, it almost has like a meringue or a whipped cream texture. Maybe a little farther than I would take whipped cream, but just about where I'd take a meringue. We're gonna call it a day. So that's what we're looking for. It's really that fluff texture. So at this point, we're just gonna turn it out. Then we're gonna do the reverse of what we did in the first place. Take a piece of parchment paper. Some people like to use a rolling pin with this. I like to use my bench scraper. This sets in the cooler overnight. So this is a smaller, about a quarter size batch that we already had ready to go. This is a mixture of cornstarch and powdered sugar. This is gonna help the marshmallows not to stick together. So what we'll do is we'll take a pair of scissors, sort of coat them in the cornstarch mix. This is what we sprayed it for, so it comes up nice and cleanly. And at this point, we'll take the scissors, cut them all the way down. I'll add, this will be the bowl I'll use to store and toss them in. I'll add a little bit of the cornstarch mixture and powdered sugar, and then cut them right into there. Have your house-made marshmallows. Gelatin is thermo irreversible, so the second that it sets, it's not gonna melt back out, even to heat. So then you can torch it, and it dries up just like any great marshmallow.